Guys, here's your complex number review number 2. So here's number 1. Now, what you guys are going to do is you're going to want to distribute this plus sign to both, but when you guys distribute a plus, it does not affect any of the signs. So what we're going to do is we're just going to drop everything down. Negative 8 minus 9i plus 2 minus 7i. And then from here, you guys just combine like terms, so combine the real numbers together and the two imaginary. So look at the reals. Negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. And negative 9i minus 7i, that's negative 16i. Number 2. So again, we have this plus sign, so we're going to distribute. This doesn't have anything in front of the parentheses, so just drop it down. Negative 14 minus 3i, negative 12 plus I. And then you guys combine like terms, so combine the two imaginaries and combine the two reals. Negative 14 minus 12 is negative 26, and negative 3i plus I is negative 2i. Okay, here's number 3. So you guys are going to distribute this negative to both in the parentheses. You're going to distribute this plus to both in the parentheses. And that's about it. A negative times negative 2 is a positive 2. A negative times a positive I is a negative I. And then if you guys distribute the positive, it doesn't change the signs. So drop the 8 down, drop the negative 5 down, and then drop that 4 down. So we have our real numbers, we have our imaginary. 2 plus 8 plus 4 is 14, and then our imaginary, negative I minus 7i, that's negative 8i. And there you guys go. Number 4. We got a negative sign, so distribute that. And then drop everything else down. 10i, negative times a positive 12 is negative 12. A negative times positive 15i is negative 15i. And then drop down the negative 18. We got reals right there. And we have our imaginaries right there, and we have reals. So, looking at our reals, negative 12 minus 18 is negative 30. And 10i minus 15i is negative 5i. And notice, you guys, all of this is in standard form. The reals come first, and then the imaginary has to be in standard form. Number 5. Now, there is no plus or minus sign in between the parentheses, which means you guys gotta multiply. So we gotta do a double distribution. So 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. 5 times 3i is positive 15i. And now you guys distribute the red. Negative 4i times a negative 2, that's positive 8i. Negative 4i times 3i is negative 12i to the second power. But remember, I to the second power becomes negative 1. So I'm just going to rewrite everything, or the first 3 terms, but then negative 12 times negative 1, that's a positive 12. Combine the reals, combine the imaginaries. So you guys are going to get 2, negative 10 plus 12 is 2, 15 plus 8, 23i. And again, has to be in standard form, A plus BI form. Number 6, again, you do not see a plus or minus sign in the parentheses, so you guys gotta do a double distribution. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Negative 2 times 5i is negative 10i. 3i times 3 is 9i, and 3i times 5i is 15i to the second power. And the I to the second just become negative 1. So I'm going to rewrite everything. 15 times negative 1, you guys, is negative 15. So we have our reals. We have our this is our imaginaries. These are our real. So combining the reals first, negative 6 minus 15 is negative 21. And the imaginaries, negative 10i plus 9i, negative I. Okay, number 7. So for number 7, we are going to do a double distribution. So 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times negative 6i is negative 24i. I times 2 is 2i. And I times negative 6i is negative 6i to the second power. This I squared becomes negative 1. So then if we just drop everything down, except negative 6 times negative 1, you guys, is positive 6. Reals, and then combine your guys' imaginaries. For the reals, 8 plus 6 is 14. For the imaginaries, negative 24 plus 2 is negative 22i. Good. 8, again, no plus or minus sign in between the parentheses, so we gotta multiply them, so double distribution. Negative 8 times negative 1 is 8. Negative 8 times negative I is plus 8i. And then the red, 2i times negative 1 is negative 2i. And 2i times negative I is negative 2i to the second power. The I to the second become negative 1. 8 plus 8i minus 2i. A negative 2 times negative 1 is a positive 2. Combine the imaginaries, combine the reals. 8 plus 2 is 10. 8i minus 2i is 6i. Okay, there's your guys' multiplication. Now for the graphs, just remember, the x-axis is real, you guys, and the y-axis is your guys' imaginary. For standard form, this number is the real, you guys, and this one is the imaginary. So for number 9, if you guys went 10 to the right, and then 1 down, there's your guys' 9. For number 10, if you guys went 2 to the left, and 8 up, that gives you guys 10. For 11, that's only an imaginary number, negative 5i. So you guys go 5 down, and you guys would get to just 11. For 12, 4 to the left and 3 up. Okay, so that's how you guys do your graphing. Okay, here's your guys' powers of I. Now, hopefully you guys remember that I to the 0 is just 1. And then write I to the first, I to the second, I to the third, I to the fourth. If you guys remember that acronym, right, it will help you guys figure out these powers of I from 1 to 4. I1, negatives in the middle. Now, in order to simplify these i's, remember you take the power and divide it by 4. 4 goes into 8 twice. Drop the 1. 4 goes into 1 0 times. So we have a remainder of 1, everyone, which means this is going to be I to the first power, which is simply just I. Next, this one, 37 divided by 4. 4 goes into 37, you guys. The most it could go is 9 times. 4 times 9 is 36, subtract, you get 1. So I to the 37 is equals to I to the remainder, which is the first power, because, right? And then I to the first, you guys, is just I. And then we have this one, you guys, 60 divided by 4. 4 goes into 6 once, subtract 2, drop the 0, 4 goes in 25 times, with a remainder of 0. So this is going to be I to the 0 power, and I to 0 is just 1. Okay. Now we're over here. So this is complex numbers, but writing it in division. Writing using division. So what we're gonna do is we gotta find the conjugate. We have to find the conjugate. So what we're gonna have to do is, well, let me move this first. Check that answer later. Okay, so we gotta get the conjugate, you guys. We gotta get the conjugate. So the conjugate of the denominator is the opposite of that sign. So -5 minus 10i. That is the conjugate. So you guys gotta multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of the denominator. So this is where you guys gotta do your double distribution. But then you guys multiply. When you guys multiply by the conjugate and its complex numbers, remember the middle terms are going to cancel. So we could do this shortcut, right? So purple pathway first, right? 4 times 4 times -5, -20. 4 times -10i, -40i. -3i times -5 is positive 15i. -3i times -10i is positive 30i squared. Now the blue, right? -5 times -5 is positive 25. 10i times -10i is -100. Ooh, color coordination, people. -100 I to the second power. And both I to the seconds equals to being -1. So I'm just going to probably rewrite this for you guys. -20 minus 40i plus 15i. 30 times -1, you guys, is -30. And 25. -100 times -1 is positive 100. Combine the reals up top and the imaginaries, and you guys are gonna get -20 minus 30 is -50. -40 plus 15 is -25i. And the bottom, 125. So you guys split up that fraction. So you guys get that, and you guys get that. Now, you can simplify this fraction. And what you have to do is, well, you can divide top and bottom by 25. Now, if you can't recognize that, you guys, then you could divide top and bottom by 5 for each, right? They don't have to both be the same either. So you guys could divide top and bottom by 25 and it'll give you the straight answer, but if you can't think of the big number, just tackle the small numbers, right? -50 divided by 5, you guys, -10. 125 divided by 5 is 25. Minus 5 over 25. But then something you guys should notice again is you can still divide top and bottom by 5 for both. And what you guys would notice is you would get -2 over 5 minus 1 over 5i. So if you guys can simplify fractions, you go ahead and do so. If you guys can simplify fractions, you go ahead and do so. Okay. So, 17. Give me 1 second, you guys, because my computer is literally about to die. Pause for like a minute. Alright, I am sorry, but I'm back. So, for 17, you guys multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of the denominator, so switch that sign, 3 minus I to top and bottom. Now, we're gonna multiply, so we gotta do a double distribution up here. Multiply the first 2 together, and then multiply the second 2 together. Two times 3 is 6. 2 times negative I is negative 2I. 4I times 3 is 12I. 4I times negative I is negative 4I to the second. Blue, 3 times 3 is 6. I times negative I is negative I squared. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Hold on. 3 times 3 is 9. I times negative I is negative I squared. There we go. The I squares, you guys, become negative 1, right? And now we rewrite the first couple terms, but then negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. 9. Negative times negative 1 is positive 1. You guys combine your imaginaries, you guys combine your reals. And what you guys would get is 6 plus 4 is 10. Negative 2i plus 12i is positive 10i. And 9 plus 1 is 10. You guys break that up. And if you guys notice, well, 10 over 10 is just 1, and that 10 over 10 is just 1, which is just 1i, which is just I. If you guys want to keep it as 1i, that's fine, but 10 over 10 is 1i, you guys, and 1i is just equals to I. Okay, our last section. Now, to get rid of the negative sign, right, you guys? You put the I on the outside of the square root. It has to be, the I has to be on the outside of the square root. And then you guys can do your prime factorization tree. So 28 and 10. You can use any factors you want. 5 and 2. 7 and 4. 2 and 2. So remember, you can only look at all the prime numbers, right? These are the only numbers you can look at. So don't look at the 4 or 28 or 10. It's only the prime numbers you guys look at. So from the prime numbers, we only got a pair of 2s. Everything else is a leftover, meaning you cannot find a pair with these guys. So that means the pair goes on the outside the square root, so the pairs of 2s, and all the leftovers, 7 times 5 times 2, and the I on the outside. And that's how you guys would get 2 square root of 70 I. 19. Again, take out the negative sign and make that an I. 49 and 2 are factors, and factors of 49 are 7 and 7. So remember, only look at the prime numbers. Do not look at 49, because 49 is not a prime number. The 49 became 7 and 7. So from just the prime numbers, we have a pair of 7s, and we got a leftover of a 2. So the pair of 7s go on the outside the square root, and the leftover 2 goes on the inside. And don't forget your I on the outside. 20. So 2 could go into 162, you guys, to make it 81. 81, factors of 81, 99, factors 9, 3, and 3, factors 9, 3, and 3. Remember, you can only look at the prime numbers only. You can't look at the 9, the 9, and the 81, because those are not prime. The 81 became the 99, the 9s became the 3s. So from these prime numbers, which one are pairs? Pairs of 3s, pairs of 3s, leftover of a 2. One pair of 3s come on the outside the square root, and the other pair of 3s come on the outside the square root. On the inside the square root, you got leftover 2. 3 times 3 is 9, square root 2. 21. Again, pull out the negative sign, and that becomes an I. 2 times 36, 6 times 6, 3 times 2, 3 times 2. We got pairs of 3s, we got pairs of 2s, and a leftover of a 2. So the pair of 3s come on the outside the square root, the pairs of 2s come on the outside the square root, and the leftover 2s on the inside. I, 6 square root 2, I. And those are you guys' answers. So hopefully you guys got this down. Study hard, and hopefully this helps you guys out. Okay, good luck everyone. Peace.